Hello, guys. This is Jack, and today we are going to be talking about the Best Actor, Best Actress predictions for next year's Oscars. I know it's super early to kind of predict these things right now, but I think it's also a perfect time to kind of pull my stocks out of my ass for these nominations. And especially since, I want to see how this plays out further into the award season as it will continue on well into the fall festival season. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight Best Actor, Best Actress, Supporting Actor, and Supporting Actress. Those are the four main categories that I will be highlighting. And as I go deeper and deeper into some of the placements that I have with these type of performances, I will kind of note some of the pros and cons of what could happen and what couldn't happen with these nominations and placements. So yeah, let's get into it. So for Best Actor at number 1, I have Jeremy Allen White for Deliver Me from Nowhere. My pros with this type of placement that I have with Jeremy Allen White is it's a musical biopic. He's playing the boss, Bruce Springsteen. Scott Cooper, the director, was a previous nominee with Crazy Heart, and it's basically showing itself as a non-traditional musical biopic opposed to it being like a wiki entry type of film where it just shows, the rise and fall of specific, character. But the cons that I do have with this film and this type of performance is the fatigue of musicals and particularly musical biopics. It could hit this year, but I won't take a super chance on it. And on top of that, I think Emmy winners sometimes don't really translate to Oscar nominations. It did work last year for supporting actor, but I think this year it's not gonna, go super far out if I really have to be honest with myself. And then maybe, the actual film itself is too boring or too, introspective for viewers, or especially Oscar viewers. But that wouldn't be too much of a thing, in my opinion. But that's just something I needed to highlight just a little bit. And then number 2, I have Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme. This is going to be the rising high of Timothy's stocks as an actor. And it could also be, a new side of Timothy that we haven't seen before. It's a comedic one. He's going around the world, doing his own thing, playing ping pong. But I think what could be the wrong thing with this performance is it depends on how big this movie is. It could be massive or it could just flop right on its face. And again, this could also lead into, another actor, a bigger one, kind of curbing Timothée Chalamet with his performance in this movie. It really depends on how the movie plays out in the end. And then number 3, I have George Clooney for Jay Kelly. It's been a long time since Clooney has been, nominated for an Oscar. I think Syriana, pronunciation wrong. Syriana was the last thing that he was nominated with in, and this is going to be a comeback narrative for him. I can see a lot of, hype and promo for the film just alone with George Clooney returning to the big screen, doing a meaty-ass role. And this is also Baumbach's return to, merge story levels of good. His last film, White Noise, wasn't that good for some people. I personally really enjoyed it, but it wasn't a big Oscar player. So this is kind of a return to Baumbach's normal expertise. The cons here would be it depends on the performance and Clooney himself and how he promotes the movie, and it could be also just a been there, done that performance for Clooney himself. Number 4, I have Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. This is riding high with the hype and momentum of the film, as the word of mouth right now is super, super high. It's very visible. It's a type of film that everybody can get behind, and Michael B. Jordan plays 2 characters. He has different sides from both of the characters, and it's a standout performance aside from, the other supporting cast in the movie. And it's also an overdue narrative. He hasn't been nominated before, but he's been in movies where he could have potentially got nominated for a set film. But here, it's overdue. It's time. Give him the Oscar nomination and potentially the win here. But the cons here could also potentially falter between, other big performances, and also kind of mirroring last year with Margot Robbie with Barbie. Her getting snubbed with a big movie was kind of a big stain on the movie as a whole with Barbie, and it could potentially, lead into Sinners kind of missing all the actor nominations, but I highly doubt it since the performance of word of mouth has been super, super high, and it's going to translate continuing on to the fall festival season. And then number 5, I have Jesse Plemons for Bugonia. This is also an overdue narrative for Jesse Plemons, as he's been nominated a few times throughout his entire career. And Yorgos always gets his actors in no matter what, even though Emma Stone has been like the repeating nomination every time Yorgos makes a movie with her. But I think now Plemons, it's his time. The only cons that I have here is if his performance is very too subdued for the Oscars, because usually Plemons plays these types of characters where he's kind of like in like his feels. It's very like abstract, and sometimes it's very like understated. So this is another performance from the trailers that I've been looking at, him being kind of like subdued and kind of like low key. But at the same time, that shouldn't matter if Jesse Plemons has been in the radar for Oscar nominations for the past couple years. But that's my top 5 for Best Actor. Let's continue down below the line categories here. At number 6, I have Daniel Day-Lewis for Enemy. This is pretty much major big highlight for this award season that's coming up this year, because Daniel Day-Lewis is coming back for a movie. He's been out of retirement for, a year. He shot this movie with his son, who's directing the movie. And it's been a long time since we've seen Daniel Day-Lewis on the screen. So, of course, this is going to be a big fucking deal. But the cons that I have here is it could be a nothing burger. It could be just like a vanity project for Daniel Day-Lewis's son. And it could just be, an okay film where it just kind of just falls apart and falters past the, fall festival season. But I'm putting stocks on this because it's Daniel Day-Lewis. He's going to give a good performance no matter what. And I think that will translate alone for an Oscar nomination, even if the film is just fine. Number 7, Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. This guy won the Best Actor prize at Cannes. He got glowing reviews over there. And this could also potentially translate again with Brazil being an international player again, just like last year with I'm Still Here. The only problem that I have with this film alone and the performance from what I've been hearing is the film is pretty slow and weird compared to last year's I'm Still Here, so it could potentially kind of like falter a little bit. But again, international actors, there's only one like international actor that could potentially break here, and I think Wagner Moura has a good chance to break out. Number 8, Brendan Fraser for Rental Family. This would be his second nomination if it would happen, because he did win for The Whale last time around, and this is a different role compared to The Whale from what I've been hearing. It's more of like a quiet, kind of introspective performance about a guy who is in a rental family, a Japanese rental family. And Searchlight, the, studio behind the movie, is always good in terms of getting their actors in for terms of nominations. And again, it just really depends on Fraser's Fraser's performance in this film. If it's the type of role that usually gets his praise, if it's like another layer of Fraser, then it could actually happen. And then number 9, I have Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, for The Smashing Machine. I'm putting it at the top of number 9 because I think The Rock is going to campaign the fuck out of this film. It's going to be, a different role compared to his other films as of late. But the major con is the test screenings and how it's saying that the film is pretty weird as hell. It's a different player compared to other, Safdie films. And I don't really think that this could go all the way high, but it just really depends on like The Rock's campaign and just like his highlight of the performance of the film alone. But, I'm kind of rooting for Dwayne Johnson to, smash the Oscars this year, because he definitely deserves like a W compared to some of the movies he's been making for the past couple of years. So I'm rooting for him. Number 10, I have Colin Farrell for The Ballad of a Small Player. This is Colin Farrell's second potential Oscar-nominated role. Last time he was nominated, it was for a movie that could have potentially also made him win the role. But if I remember correctly, Brendan Fraser took the Oscar from him. So this could actually be an apology for, not taking his last film seriously. And, Edward Berger, the director himself, has been gaining stocks in the Academy. Last year we had Conclave and then All Quiet on the Western Front. So this could be another, potential player for Netflix. And also Netflix has, Jay Kelly and Frankenstein. So it's a battle between those three movies. But that's the only con that I have with this. Aside from that, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another. Pros, it's always going to be, Leo getting nominated for any of these types of roles aside from like Killers of the Flower Moon. But, again, depends on how the movie performs box office wise. And again, I've been hearing his performance is kind of just like fine. It's still good, but it's not like Oscar worthy compared to other people in the film like Sean Penn, which I will explain a little bit later in this video. But yeah, that's mostly the cons that I have with this movie. And aside from that, that's my best actor, below the line, and just the, overall placements right now. Let's move on to best actress. Moving along with the best actress, I have Renée Zellweger for Sentimental Value at the top of the list, mainly because her performance in this movie, from what I've been hearing, has been fucking, like, incredible. Like, she's been, like, the major highlight of every single review for this film after its Cannes release this year. She was passed up last time for Worst Person in the World, which comes from the same director. She's super well known in the international industry, and she's been putting a lot of like good work for the past couple of years from what I've been seeing. And this first time, nominee could be good enough for, the film itself. And again, it just really depends on like if the film performs super, super strong for the fall festival season, which I highly, doubt it kind of like falling apart because this is Neon's major big ass player this year. But this is the only thing that I can think of, but it's all pros. It's all pros. She's going to get nominated no matter what. That's what I'm personally thinking, but who knows. Number 2, I have Julia Roberts for After the Hunt. This is a return narrative type of deal where we haven't seen Julia Roberts do anything super highlight major for the past couple of years as far as, Oscar nominations. But this is going to be like a meaty ass role for her. She's playing a teacher who is in the middle of a accusation with one of her students. And this is also going to be Luca Guadagnino's big major player this year. This could also be like a retribution for Luca's snubs for Queer and Challengers. So I'm putting some stocks into this, but again, it really depends on like the movie and how it plays out during the fall festival season. It's going to be pretty damn good for TIFF and maybe New York Film Festival and other, big major fall festivals, especially Venice. Venice is the boy for Luca Hedges. I'm thinking about him. I'm just thinking about Lucas Hedges. I don't know why, but yeah, Luca Guadagnino. So yeah, could happen. Number 3, I have Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good. At number 3, overdue narrative translates from the last film from my notes and is still a meaty ass role. She's singing, she's gonna, give her all for this movie. And the top 2 choices for, the other placements that I have up in here are pretty progressive choices. But it just really depends on like the repeat nominations for this film, especially if it's going to get lesser nominations compared to the first Wicked, which I kind of predict because, it's been there, done that. Like, okay, we've given Wicked, the first film, a lot of nominations. So let's kind of like give it like a lesser, nomination pool and give more nominations to other films that really need it. But still, I think Cynthia Erivo has a really good shot of actually winning this Oscar this year. If 2 of the performances don't, vibe pretty well with the overall promotion of those films, but I'm rooting for Cynthia. Her performance in the last film was fucking great, and she deserves another Oscar nomination. Number 4, I have Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. She's going to be a return nominee for The Lost Daughter the last time around. So now she's back for another big major movie with Chloe Zhao directing the film, and she's going to piss and cry a lot. This role is going to be super fucking meaty, and again, this is just totally up to how the performance of the film is. This could be Zhao's sophomore slump. I've been kind of like thinking about that. It could potentially kind of like fall apart. Kind of like that Olivia Colman movie from a few years ago, Empire of Light, where people were starting to, predict it. But then once, the Oscars happened, it only got nominated for Best Cinematography. But who knows? It could just really depends on like how the movie performs well past, the fall season. And then number 5, I have Jennifer Lawrence for Die My Love. Listen, I understand the movie itself. It's been polarizing. It got like mixed reviews from Cannes. Some people really, really love it. Some people just really aren't like super vibey about it, but I think Jennifer Lawrence could potentially just like break out and just kind of return to her, bigger side of things. She's a return nominee, media role. stretches the distance as far as her performances in the past, especially, Mother. I think this is going to be another one where she's giving her all and just giving another great, like, fucking great performance. The only con that I have here is Lynn Ramsey herself, the director, was super close for a Tilda Swinton nomination for We Need to Talk About Kevin. That was like a super close thing. And even though, her films are very polarizing, I think the divisive performance, from what I've been hearing with Jennifer Lawrence, could also break her away. But I'm also thinking about The Substance last year, where that movie itself, originally when it came out, people were just like, it's not going to get nominated for Best Picture and Best Actress. It's a horror movie. But then, people started to, check it out and were like, oh shit, this is actually really great. And they started to, put stocks into it. And I think Die My Love could potentially do that. It could repeat with a movie, acquiring this movie and promoting it as a major player in their entire, studio filmography. So I'm just putting it there. And then we could just continue on with the below the line things. So with below the line, I have at number 6 Tessa Thompson for Hedda. This movie's going to be headed towards the TIFF lineup this year. It just got announced last week that it's going to TIFF. And Tessa Thompson, she lost her nomination for Passing last time around, and this could be, return to, form for her. It's a meaty role, and the adaptation is a classic from what I've been hearing. I've never seen the original film or seen anything from the actual material at hand, but I've been hearing some good things about the adaptation. The only con that I have here is it just really depends on, like, the reception of the film and how MGM wants to play out the advertisement for this film, as it's the only second player that it has aside from After the Hunt. So I'm just going to wait out for, the TIFF responses to kind of see if it'll go somewhere. Number 7, I have Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. She has been kind of bubbling with her performance in this movie since the Sundance premiere. I've been hearing some great things about her performance. The only polarizing thing about it is it's giving me Uncut Gems 2 vibes. It's going to be one of those movies where, the highlight of it will be the performance, but that's the only thing that it could, potentially break out with, and it could potentially just falter and fall apart, just like Uncut Gems a few years ago, with its very chaotic and crazy vibes of that film. And the same thing goes with this movie, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I've been hearing it's very polarizing, just all over the place, very just in your face. But yeah, I have that. And then number 8, I have Lucy Liu for Rosemead. Quiet, understated performance from what I've been hearing from Tribeca. The movie itself, the reception has been pretty low-key. I haven't been hearing anything else about, the movie itself. But this could actually be the To Leslie of the season, in a sense where it just gets a grassroots campaign going, and then it could potentially kick out a lot of other top major performances that I have on this placement list. But who knows? Lucy Liu has been a pretty cool actress as of late. She was just in Presence this year with Steven Soderbergh, and I thought her performance in that was really, really good. And then at number 9, I have Emma Mackey for Ella McKay. This is a role where she's playing a politician in an age where politics is part of our real life. I noted this as a type of movie that could be absolutely just being a movie where it just libs out in terms of just being a neoliberal film, very, streamlined, straight lines with its politics, and just kind of focusing more on just the overall vibe of just oh, we should all just get along and actually be bipartisan with our politics, when the reality of things is it's not working in our real life. But I noted that, and also at the same time, Emma Mackey, she's been putting some good work for the past couple of years. She was great in Sex Education, and she's another actress that has braked out after, that show ended. So I'm putting stocks on her for this performance. But the only cons that I have here is James L. Brooks coming back for another film in the last 20 years. It's been a long time since we've seen James L. Brooks direct a movie. The last thing was How Do You Know? And this could be kind of that same vibe where it's just generic centerpiece film with a lot of crazy actors doing crazy performances, but also at the same time it's just very, generic, and could be just a nothing burger. But At number 10, I have Amy Adams for At the Sea. The only pros that I have here, it's fucking Amy Adams. Like, even if the movie is just mid, like, we always highlight Amy Adams because we love her, and she always gives, performances that raise a lot of eyebrows, especially as of late. Her filmography has kind of, like, fallen apart, especially with, like, Hillbilly Elegy, Night Bitch last year. But at the end of the day, it just could be, a film where it just kind of, like, falls apart. It could be just, like, a mid-S film, a mid-Amy Adams performance. It's just another film where it's just another stain on Amy Adams' potential for, an Oscar nomination and potentially a win. And then number 11, I have Sydney Sweeney for the untitled Christy Martin biopic. She's playing a real-life figure. This is clearly catnip for the Oscars. And again, Sydney Sweeney has been super, high on a lot of people's stocks as of late since she's been breaking out with a lot of her films. And especially since Euphoria has been, her major staple. She was nominated for an Emmy for that role, I think for second season, if I believe. But cons that I only have here is just if the movie is just mid and the performance is just okay. But yeah, it's just like my below the line for actress and just all of the placements that I have in general for Best Actress. So moving along, we have Best Supporting Actor, and I'm starting with Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. From what I've been hearing, his performance in this movie is fucking great. He's technically the co-lead in this film from what I've been hearing. He has a lot of range in this role, and he's playing a distant father who comes back to the family and tries to, convince his daughters to, be in a movie that he's making, and that doesn't work out. And then there's another actress who's going to play, the daughter of the actual daughter in the real family. So this could be a really cool performance and a really good win for Stellan Skarsgård, as he could also win an Emmy for Andor this year, as the show has ended and the show has been highlighted as one of the best Star Wars shows ever. So this could also, help his overall narrative. There's actually no cons that I have here. If the movie sucked, then we wouldn't be talking about it, but it doesn't suck, and, it's a good thing that this could actually work out for Stellan Skarsgård. Number 2, I have Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly. I heard he's the highlight of this film according to reports. This could be also a retribution for him being snubbed for Uncut Gems a few years ago, and the other note that I have here is the SAGs and the Golden Globes will eat this fucking up. They love Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler was nominated for that basketball movie a few years ago for the Globes. The SAGs. So this could be, his thing. And it could actually give him the win territory if the movie does pretty well on Netflix in the fall festival season. But if this movie does suck and flop, it's going to be Sandler over for him. Number 3, I have Andrew Garfield for After the Hunt. This is another thing that has been, highlighted in terms of the reports of the film. Major highlight for him. This could be another retribution for him not getting the Oscar nomination, or actually the win. He was nominated for Tick, Tick, Boom, but he didn't win for Tick, Tick, Boom. So this could actually, give him the win. But the only cons that I have here is it really depends on the performance of the movie, and it could be another, Luca Morb if it doesn't work out again. Number 4, I have Delroy Lindo for Sinners. This is a thing that could actually happen because of the word of mouth with Sinners. I usually have to, put a lot of, skepticism about whether or not, bigger movies could actually, get the supporting actors in. But I think people have been talking about Delroy Lindo for the past couple of years since his snub for The Five Bloods, and this could be, a retribution type of deal. He's the major highlight of the movie. He's the perfect supporting actor for this movie, even though he disappears a little bit later in the movie, like halfway through. But he gets a really good standout scene in the car explaining his backstory. But again, this could be only just one actor who could be nominated for Sinners, but also another actor that could potentially just kind of not be, a part of this actual narrative. But the reason why I'm saying this is because we have also Miles Keaton for Sinners, or Miles Keaton for Sinners. He is basically the second face of the film. He is the standout with the scene with the musical sequence in the film. He could also be the other actor who is nominated for this film. And the major thing that could also work is his potential Best Casting nomination, with the Best Casting award being introduced this year with the Oscars. So it could actually happen, and he could also be, part of the major hype of this film. But again, it just really depends on which supporting actor you're going to choose for Sinners. Are you going to choose Delroy Lindo, or are you going to choose Miles? It just really depends on the day, the time, the feeling, the overall vibe of Sinners itself. So, coming out number 6, I have Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. From what I've been hearing, his performance in this movie has been a major highlight, according to test screenings. He's playing a Nazi military dude, which is pretty relevant to today's world. And on top of that, it's been a while since we've seen Sean Penn do something different in terms of the types of roles he's been getting. So this could be, a carryover with One Battle After Another getting a nomination for Best Picture and Best Screenplay. And just really depends on the performance of the film, critical and box office wise. Number 7, I have Jeremy Strong for Deliver Me From Nowhere, the Bruce Springsteen movie. From the trailer, I've been seeing, his performance being kind of introspective. He could go for, a 2-2-2 for, nominations back-to-back, especially last year with The Apprentice. And this is another note of me saying it really depends on the performance of the film and its, critical and box office feelings. Same with Stephen Graham for Deliver Me From Nowhere. Really applies to, Jeremy Strong. They kind of go toe-to-toe with each other. And the only big thing that Stephen Graham has, the upper hand with is him potentially winning an Emmy for Adolescence, the TV show that premiered earlier this year that's been getting a lot of praise. And his performance in that show has been a major, highlight for that. So, he could also be a part of the major hype for Deliver Me From Nowhere. Number 9, I have Paul Mescal for Hamnet. From what I've been hearing, he's either the lead or co-lead or supporting of this movie. He's playing William Shakespeare, so that's a big thing. He's a return nominee. He was nominated for Aftersun a couple years ago, and it's a pissing and crying performance, which the Oscars really love. But just like what I said with Jessie Buckley, it just really depends on the performance of the film. Again, for me personally, it's giving me sophomore slump vibes with Chloe Zhao returning to the Oscars. She hasn't been doing good lately with, that last movie she did, Eternals, but that was just a little small stain in her career. We can kind of focus more on how this film plays out during the fall festival season. And then at number 10, I have Takehiro Hiro for Rental Family. Takehiro Hiro for Rental Family. This is another, small major breakout that could potentially happen, especially with last year with Yura Borisov for Anora. At least one international actor has to break out, and I think he has a perfect chance here. And he could also be the hook of the movie. And again, it just really depends on how the film performs past the fall festival season. Number 11, I have Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another. He's battling out with Sean Penn here. It's a really funny performance from what I've been hearing with the trailers and test screenings. And number 12, I have Jonathan Bailey for Wicked for Good. Wicked for Good. I keep on, speedrunning this film because I kind of want to go super fast with it. But yeah, Jonathan Bailey, he was nominated for the SAGs last year for his performance. So it could potentially translate here, but, his performance in this movie, in the second part, is a little bit weaker compared to his first part in the movie, so it could be a nothing burger. But yeah, that's my, picks for supporting actor. Let's continue on with supporting actress. Next up, we have supporting actress. So I'm going to start with my top 5. Starting at number 1, Emma Stone for Begonia. She has to be up in the top because it's a Yorgos film. It's another unhinged performance by Stone compared to, the other performances from her Yorgos filmography. And even though, despite her performance in this movie, probably going to be, her just being laying on a bed the whole time, it just really depends on whether or not the film itself is really good. And also on top of that, I'm comparing this to the original film, which is being remade with Yorgos, so bear with me with that, because I remember correctly, the character in the movie does not have a lot of stuff to do in that movie, but Also, at the same time, this is going to be completely different from the original Save the Green Planet movie. And the cons just really depends on like its critical performance and box office performance. Number 2, I have Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good. Return nominee. She was nominated last time for this role. She could potentially win, especially since she lost last year with Zoe Saldana taking the award. Another musical performance. No matter how bad that movie was, Amelia Perez couldn't deny the fact that Zoe was the sweeper of that season. So Ariana Grande has a perfect chance to kind of take the spotlight away from Emma Stone. And again, it just really depends on like if she's giving the same performance again, if it's, you know, a type of performance where it's just like, okay, we gave you an Oscar nomination for this role. We don't need to do it again. Let's give it to somebody else. That could actually happen. And this also could potentially get lesser nominations compared to the first film, which could hurt Ariana Grande in the long run. Number 3, I have Ayo Edebiri for After the Hunt. She's coming hot off of an Emmy award-winning show, The Bear, so this could also, you know, work in her favor. She has a small role in this movie, but from this movie's reportings, she's a highlight in the movie. And the only con is really depending on if Lucasfilm gets a big breakout compared to his last couple of films. So who knows? But again, only one actor could potentially break out here. It's probably Julia Roberts, and that's it. But I could be wrong. Number 4, I have Gwyneth Paltrow for Marty Supreme. She's a return nominee. She won an Oscar for Shakespeare in Love. It's a comeback narrative, and right now she's hard launching her, you know, potential Oscar nomination with, you know, interviews for this movie. And yeah, it could actually happen. The only major con that I have here, I noted for some weird reason, I have the Goop controversy, her weird-ass health makeup, whatever the fuck line she does. She's been doing for the past couple years. Ethically, she's been doing some like crazy shit with the Goop thing, so that could, you know, kill her. Not literally, but kill her potential. And maybe the role itself is pretty too small, so who knows? I don't know. We could see. We keep on speed running. Number 5, I have Glenn Close for Knives Out 3, Wake Up Dead Man. It's fucking Glenn Close. It's Glenn Close. Legend. Glenn Close. Like, you gotta, like, you know, put some stocks into it. It's Glenn Close. It's Glenn Close. I keep repeating myself, but it's Glenn Close. And it's going to be, you know, a type of role where she plays something different. Unfortunately, this could be another Glenn Close snub if I had to, like, really think about it. And no actor has been nominated for a Knives Out movie in terms of like Oscar wise yet, so this could actually potentially break it. Could break the curse. Number 6, I have Ellie Fanning for Sentimental Value. This is one of those major highlights of the movie. She is sharing a role with another actress in this film, another supporting role, Igna Lilis. Pronunciation is terrible. I am terrible at pronunciations. Norwegian pronunciations. Yeah, but these two performances are major highlights of the movie. One of them could potentially break. It's either between Ella or Ellie or Igna, so who knows? But I'm putting Ellie more higher than Igna because I think Ellie has been respected in the industry for the past couple of years. She was super close for a nomination for A Complete Unknown, and this could also help her out in the end if the movie is super strong. Number 8, I have Emily Blunt for The Smashing Machine. From what I've been seeing in the trailers, she is caked up in suntan, and she's going to do another pissing crying performance. And she was a, you know, return nominee, potentially, since the last time around she was nominated for Oppenheimer. She could have won. But I think here she is doing a performance where she's the wife of a wrestler and a fighter who is going through a lot of really crazy, terrible things in his life. So Emily Blunt is the anchor of the film, from what I've been hearing. But the major con is the weird ass vibes I've been hearing from the movie itself. It could just potentially morb at the end of the day. Number 9, I have Laura Dern for Jay Kelly. This is just a small thing that I have to like pick out because these last couple of placements are just like small potential breakouts. Laura Dern did win for Marriage Story last time around, so this could be another, same performance that she gave last time around with a Noah Baumbach film. But the only con is if her role is just super small. If it's just super small, then it could just potentially be passed up for another bigger role. And the bigger role here is Winnie Musaku for Sinners. She has been kind of like in the industry for the past couple of years. She's been doing some good work, and this is another major supporting performance that has been highlighted with this film, and she does a lot of good stuff in this movie that could potentially kind of help her out in the end, but it just really depends on if the Sinners stocks are super high, well past the award season. And again, I always highlight it has to be one, big major acting nomination to kind of help it out in the end, but maybe 2 or 3 could also help out, the potential chances that this movie could get. And then at number 11, I have Jennifer Lopez for Kiss of a Spider Woman. Major thing that I have to highlight is her retribution for her snub for Hustlers a couple years ago. She was super, super, super close for that Oscar nomination, and she lost it out to other people in that category. So now is her chance, even though her career right now, musical wise, has been really awful. Her last album flopped, her tour flopped. She's been going through a lot of like flops lately in her career, but from what I've been hearing from the Sundance reviews, she's putting a good performance and she's giving like her all in this movie. She's singing and dancing the whole time, and that's the only thing she does in this movie from what I've been hearing. She doesn't have like moments where she's actually, acting away from like the musical performances, so that could actually hurt her a little bit. This is Lionsgate's only player. The Michael Jackson movie is being pushed back for its 2 parts next year, so Lionsgate's going to put a lot of stocks into this potential nomination. And it's going to be the only nomination for this film. I don't see it going anywhere else. I don't see it for like Best Actor. I don't see it for Best Picture. I just don't see it. There's nothing to really highlight with it in terms of other nominations aside from Best Supporting Actor. And then at number 12, I have Sissy Spacek for Die My Love. This is just a little small blurb that I have here because, one, she's an industry legend. It's a return narrative for her. It's been a long time since we've seen her at the Oscars, and Sissy Spacek is just a fucking legend. And even though her performance in this movie, from what I've been hearing, is pretty small, this could actually just like help her out at the end because of her name. Only con that I have here is Lynn Ramsey's potential polarizing expertise with this movie. It's polarizing as hell, but who knows? It could happen, but that's my supporting actress placements here, and that's basically the video that I have for today. Are you guys going to argue against my picks? Do it comments in the, comment section below. Please do. Please, talk about my picks here on the comments, and just also just in general, get this word out, get the video out, spread it out, just subscribe. Give me some love, and I will be back for more predictions and more film reviews on this channel. Thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoy, your day, night, weekend, whatever. Peace out.